Hey everyone, and a very warm welcome back to Evolve Every Day. Have you ever felt that life is a constant battle, that you're always fighting just to be heard? Well, ancient wisdom teaches us something profound about this struggle. Tonight, we're diving into 8 powerful lessons that, if you truly listen to them, have the potential to completely reshape your life. We're going to explore the simple, yet incredibly difficult idea of knowing when not to argue. Stick with me through this because the insights we're about to uncover might just surprise you and reveal the hidden key to a more peaceful and successful life. The wise have always understood that the real enemy in any argument isn't the person standing in front of you. It's the powerful, raw emotion boiling up inside you. Because of this, the first step is to learn to let things flow. Life is both breathtakingly short and incredibly challenging. If we spend every day fighting to prove a point, to win every battle, to be right, we just end up exhausted and happiness becomes a distant memory. True wisdom is knowing how to navigate the world with grace. Sometimes, taking a step back in a difficult situation isn't a sign of weakness. It's a strategic move that gives you room to take a giant leap forward in the future. This is especially true when you encounter these specific people in your life. With them, it is always better to remain calm and let go of the need to win. 1. Don't get into a war of words with your parents. People who constantly argue with their parents rarely find true success, either in their careers or in their personal lives. There's an old saying, an elder in the home is a living treasure. Our parents are the roots of our family tree. As long as they are with us, they are the reason we can all come together in joy and happiness. They are the family's living library of experience. They've seen more of life and can offer guidance when you feel lost. When they're here, you always have a safe harbor to return to when life storms hit. Without them, it's easy to feel adrift, lost in a world full of challenges. That's why our parents need our respect and validation. Especially as they get older, they want to share their wisdom to feel connected. If we dismiss them, or even worse, try to prove them wrong just for the sake of it, we're missing the point entirely. For generations, our ancestors have understood the importance of teaching character, and it all begins with respect for those who gave us life. After all, if a person can't show love and respect to the very people who raised them, how can they possibly form genuine, caring relationships with others out in the world? It's not about blind obedience. But when you weigh the small victory of winning an argument against the immense gift of them raising you, you realize that most disagreements are just not worth the fight. 2. Avoid arguing with your boss. Getting into a heated debate with your boss is one of the most counterproductive things you can do for your career. First, your boss has a professional reputation to maintain. Challenging them publicly backs them into a corner and leaves them no choice but to push back, often firmly. It damages the relationship and solves nothing. If you genuinely believe they've made a mistake, the smart move is to approach them calmly and privately. Second, let's be realistic. Your boss holds the keys to resources and opportunities. Antagonizing them is the fastest way to get overlooked for that project or promotion you've been working so hard for. You might think this sounds like just playing the game, but aren't most of us working hard to build a good life and provide for ourselves? So show your boss respect, and in return, they'll be more likely to give you opportunities and the benefit of the doubt. 3. Don't get into disputes with people who are driven by ego. We all know someone like this. Their pride is the most precious thing they own. They live for appearances, and often say one thing while feeling the complete opposite. When you're dealing with them, the golden rule is to never, ever make them lose face. Don't pick apart their flaws or challenge their sense of self-worth. If you can't show genuine respect, just stay neutral. Avoid the debate. This is the secret to getting along. There's a reason for the saying, it's better to build bridges than walls. Every friend is a potential ally when you're in trouble, a voice of comfort when you're lonely, and a hand to help you up when you fall. A person who truly understands how to navigate life knows how to build as many positive relationships as possible. The stronger your network, the more successful you'll be. But of course, not everyone will be your cup of tea. With those you clash with, learn to steer clear of their sore spots. Don't poke at their insecurities. That way, you can maintain a peaceful connection and keep unnecessary drama out of your life. 4. Don't fight to win with your partner. As the old saying goes, even the happiest couples will have disagreements. It's a normal part of life. The real test is how you navigate those conflicts. Some couples grow stronger through their arguments, while others are torn apart by them, leaving deep emotional scars. Here's the trap. In a relationship, you can win the argument, but lose the person. You can prove your point, but break the connection. The key is to manage your emotions before you try to solve the problem. Don't let your anger do the talking, and never fight to be right in these situations. First, don't argue when you're seeing red with anger. Second, don't sweat the small stuff. And third, on the really big issues, recognize that fighting won't solve anything. The only way through is to find the right moment to sit down and communicate with a calm and open heart. Arguments and disagreements, they can sometimes be the spice of life in a marriage. As long as a couple learns how to face them constructively, they can actually bring you closer, helping you understand each other on a deeper level. It's about building a stronger bond, cherishing the happy moments even more, not about proving who's right and who's wrong or pushing your relationship to a breaking point. 5. Don't argue with someone unwilling to listen. The ancient philosopher Zhuangzi once wrote, "You cannot speak of ice to a summer insect." What he meant was, it is absolutely pointless to argue with someone who is close-minded and refuses to understand. One of the greatest forms of wisdom in this life is knowing not to get into a battle of wits with a fool. By avoiding that wasted time and energy, you open yourself up to the better, more beautiful things that are waiting for you. Sometimes pretending you didn't hear something, just letting it go, it costs you nothing. But it saves you from the stress and anger of arguing with the wrong person. Arguing with someone like that is really just a form of self-punishment. Have you ever stopped in the middle of a heated fight and asked yourself, what am I actually gaining from this? Because honestly, when an argument ends, both sides have lost. There is no winner in that war, only different degrees of defeat. The true nature of a bitter argument is using someone else's mistakes to punish yourself. Life is far too short for that kind of self-inflicted pain, isn't it? As we journey through life, we must be careful not to be cruel with our words, not to casually hurt others. When you have to debate something, focus on the issue itself, stick to the point, and don't let your emotions take control. In any relationship, before you speak, take a breath and ask, is what I'm about to say helpful? Is it truly necessary? Don't just say things to feel powerful in the moment, completely ignoring the feelings of the person in front of you. Speaking with kindness, knowing when to speak, and, just as importantly, when to stay silent, that is a true measure of a person's character. A wise person always maintains a sense of tolerance and calm in their communication. It makes it almost impossible for someone to provoke them. Remember this. Treating people with gentleness will resolve misunderstandings far more effectively than two people shouting, trying to prove their point. Wealth attracts flatterers. Hardship reveals true friends. We each get one life. That's it. Fate has its plans, and we can't ever go back and redo the moments that have passed. All we can do is keep moving forward. And on that journey, hardships and disappointments are inevitable. While we can't avoid every storm, we can learn from the wisdom of those who came before us to avoid making the same mistakes. The life experience of our elders is a priceless textbook, full of lessons for us to reflect on. Many of these timeless truths are captured in old proverbs that are still just as powerful today. There's an old saying that goes, "When poor, don't visit family. When rich, be wary of new friends." This comes from the powerful story of a man named Su Qin, a famous strategist in ancient China during the Warring States period. The story goes that as a young man, Su Qin studied under the legendary master Guiguzhi, learning the art of persuasion and political strategy. When he returned home, he announced to his family, "With my skills, I can achieve greatness and change our fortunes. All I need is some capital to begin my career." His parents knew he was ambitious. His brother and sister-in-law also believed in him, trusting he would return in glory. So the entire family pulled together every last penny of their savings to support him. Fueled by their faith, Su Qin's confidence soared. He bought the finest clothes, a horse-drawn carriage, and hired a driver to begin his journey. He imagined himself becoming a top advisor to a king, a man of immense power and influence. But reality is often crueler than our dreams. At that time, the rulers he approached were not the least bit impressed by his theories. He failed to secure even a minor position and was eventually cast out of the capital. After months on the road, his money ran out. With winter approaching and nowhere else to go, Su Qin had no choice but to return home in shame. When he arrived, empty-handed and defeated, his world had completely changed. Friends who once admired him now openly mocked him. His own family ignored him. Even his sister-in-law, who had once been so warm and encouraging, now met him with a cold glare, snarling at him. "You're useless, just another mouth to feed." This harsh new reality left Su Qin utterly heartbroken and filled with a burning anger. He fought to pick himself back up, to become stronger, revisiting every lesson he had ever been taught. Finally, after years of relentless effort, he achieved breathtaking success, becoming a brilliant and respected strategist in the corporate world. And as his fortunes changed, so did the hearts of those around him. His friends, his parents, his own brother and sister-in-law, they all looked at him with a newfound awe. They treated him with a profound respect they'd never shown before. The very same sister-in-law who had once hurled bitter words at him now trembled in his presence, practically on her knees, begging for his forgiveness. From this story comes a powerful, if somewhat cynical, piece of wisdom. Don't visit family when you're poor, and don't trust new friends when you're rich. This saying isn't just about social etiquette, it's a stark warning about navigating human relationships. The truth is, money has a massive influence on how people treat you. When you're struggling, no matter who you are, people may look down on you, even whispering things like, "He's useless, just a freeloader," much like our strategist sister-in-law did. So when you have nothing, being dismissed and pushed aside is an almost unavoidable, heartbreaking reality. On the flip side, friendships that are built on mutual benefit will inevitably crumble when those benefits disappear. The real friends, the true connections, are the ones forged in the fire of hardship, the ones who stood by you and treated you with genuine kindness when you had absolutely nothing to offer. Once you make it, once you hold some power, the attitudes of everyone around you can shift in an instant. Suddenly, they're singing your praises, telling you you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. This is the raw reality of life. Perhaps every one of us has felt a taste of this at a family reunion or a get-together with old friends. It's a tough pill to swallow, but we must remember this lesson and, like our hero, refuse to let hardship break us. A beautiful life is waiting on the other side of that struggle. Build your network with friends, but build your business with strangers. Starting a business is often seen as the fastest path to wealth. However, it is anything but easy. Without experience and a bit of street smarts, you can find yourself losing everything. Business is its own kind of education, which is why people often say, "To the outsider, it looks exciting. To the insider, it's a grueling battle." In business, you can't succeed on theory alone. What truly matters is real-world experience. The sharpest entrepreneurs have a keen sense for the market and a vision for the future. When they spot an opportunity, they act immediately, seizing the moment and striving for profit. Whether it's a friend or a stranger, if there's a good opportunity, a true business person will take it. This is why an old saying has been passed down: build your network with friends, but build your business with strangers. Those who live and breathe business know how to calculate risks and think further ahead than the average person. When it comes to their family, friends, and colleagues, they aren't looking to make a quick buck off them. When selling a product to someone you know, the priority is to preserve the relationship. A savvy business owner won't charge them a high price or a massive markup. They'll accept a small profit or even just break even to build a solid foundation of trust and goodwill for the future. You can't get rich off your friends, but a smart entrepreneur knows how to leverage those relationships for better connections. If you have a good relationship with someone high up in a supply company, you can get access to the best wholesale prices directly. That's why you always hear, it's not what you know, it's who you know. The larger your network, the smoother your business will run and the greater your potential for profit. Not only that, but successful entrepreneurs have their own playbook. In the very beginning, when a store first opens and no one knows it exists, the owner will often invite family and friends to buy products at a special discount or even give them free samples. When these initial, trusted customers are satisfied, they become the most credible advertising channel you could ever ask for, recommending your products to their own circles. Thanks to this, your business gets a foothold and begins to grow. With people you know, it's incredibly difficult to turn a significant profit. In contrast, your most important customers are total strangers. The quality of your product, your service, whether it's good or not, all depends on the honest, objective feedback from people who have no personal connection to you. Therefore, if you want your business to thrive, you can't be afraid to talk to strangers. In fact, you must treat them exceptionally well because they are the potential customers who will sustain your profits for the long haul. So, you can see in business, the people you know are there to fan the flames, to give you that initial spark of encouragement. But it's the strangers, the ones whose own wallets are on the line, who will give you the unfiltered truth about your product's quality and price. They are your true reflection. Because of this, they also become your most authentic and powerful marketing channel. There's a timeless saying that business leaders have passed down for generations. Find your footing with friends, but find your fortune with strangers. It's an old piece of wisdom, forged in the past, but it rings just as true in our world today. For anyone just starting their journey, this saying is a compass, helping you find your direction and make the right choices. A rich man doesn't rush into a mansion, and a poor man doesn't travel far. When a person comes into wealth and influence, ancient wisdom teaches that their first thought shouldn't be to immediately sell their old home and upgrade. Money is hard-earned, and if you spend it recklessly, you'll lose the very advantage you've gained. It's far wiser to save that money, or even better, reinvest it back into your business to grow it further. Besides, living in a massive, opulent house comes with its own set of challenges. You have to consider how to maintain positive energy, attract prosperity, and secure your good fortune. Without that careful thought, a big house can quickly become a place where money is lost. More than that, from an outsider's perspective, suddenly moving into a giant home can look like you're just showing off, screaming to the world that you've made it. This can create a negative impression, making people think you're arrogant or flashy. Tragically, it can also paint a target on your back, attracting the attention of those with ill intentions who see your new home as a treasure chest. For all these reasons, you shouldn't change your home on a whim. Any move to a new environment should come only after careful planning, with a clear understanding of your budget and the quality of life you're seeking. On the other side of the coin, when you don't have enough resources, it's best not to dream of distant travels. This usually refers to those long, expensive journeys that drain your savings. If your financial foundation is weak, an adventure like that is a massive risk. If something unexpected happens on the road, an accident, a medical emergency, you might not have the means to handle it. turning a dream trip into a disaster. So don't rush to explore the world. Focus on securing your present life, building your financial strength, and growing your career. When you are ready to travel far, plan for every possibility, calculate every cost, and only then make your decision. And always, always be mindful of your money when you're away from home, or you could lose everything. The greatest human folly is the desire to be everyone's teacher. The philosopher Mencius once said, "The flaw of man is in his eagerness to be a teacher to others." We have to be on guard against becoming that kind of person. People who constantly feel the need to instruct others are rarely well-liked. It's a classic sign of low emotional intelligence, always telling people how to do their jobs or live their lives. Let me tell you a story about a brilliant but once arrogant novelist named Julian Vance. Wise was a literary giant in his time. He was known for his sharp mind and even sharper tongue, a trait that often got him into trouble. Back then, there was a custom in the literary world. Before a young writer submitted their manuscript, they might seek out an established author for a blessing, a kind of informal review. If a famous author gave their stamp of approval, the young writer's reputation would soar. A young, promising writer named Leo managed to get a once-in-a-lifetime meeting with Julian Vance, hoping for just such an opportunity. Wise welcomed him politely enough, but the moment he understood Leo was seeking his endorsement, Julian immediately opened the manuscript and, right in front of the nervous young man, began to aggressively edit it. He crossed out entire paragraphs and rewrote sentences, thinking that because he was the famous Julian Vance, he was bestowing a great gift upon Leo, a lesson from a master. But watching his deeply personal work get torn apart, Leo didn't feel grateful. He felt humiliated. A deep resentment for Julian began to grow inside him. As the years went by, Julian's own career stalled, while Leo, with his raw talent, rose through the ranks. Eventually, Leo became a powerful editor at a major publishing house, while Julian was still struggling to get his next book published. By a twist of fate, the two met again at a conference and decided to get a drink. As they talked, Leo brought up a theme from his own best-selling novel, a theme Julian had mercilessly tried to correct from his manuscript all those years ago. Hearing this, Julian was stunned. It was like a splash of cold water to the face. The full weight of his past arrogance hit him. He instantly understood the deep-seated reason for the chill between them. He quickly composed himself and offered a sincere, heartfelt apology, expressing his regret. Only then did Leo finally let go of the grudge he had held for so long. Later in life, when Julian would mentor young writers, he always told them this story. "I was so determined to prove I was the master," he'd say, "that I completely failed to be a mentor. My ego nearly cost me everything. Let that be a lesson to you all." Don't always try to be the teacher. This is such a deeply profound lesson. History is filled with stories of people who, despite meaning well, nearly brought disaster upon themselves simply because they lacked tact in dealing with others. You see, being overly zealous, even with good intentions, can often lead to extreme outcomes. And let's be honest, people who always feel the need to be the teacher aren't always the most beloved. The great Dale Carnegie himself once said, "Don't give out free advice." It's a lot like watching someone else play chess. If you just watch quietly, nobody minds. But if you're constantly pointing and saying, "That move is wrong, you should have done this," you're going to stir up resentment very, very quickly. People with high emotional intelligence understand the importance of measure. In life, so many things require a sense of balance. Rushing things often leads to failure, and too much of anything can be a bad thing. I once read a passage that has always stuck with me. When you speak with the elderly, never forget their dignity. When you speak with a man, be mindful of his pride. When you speak with a woman, honor her emotions. When you speak to your superiors, remember their authority. When you speak with the young, respect their directness. And when you speak with a child, cherish their innocence. Those with high emotional intelligence are masters of communication. They know the boundaries and interact with others as equals, with warmth and respect, rather than talking down from a pedestal as if giving orders. The truth is, in many cases, people who love to play the teacher are simply a bit too full of themselves. A famous artist once said, "I find that I am still ignorant in so many areas. That's why I would never dare to point my finger and lecture someone else." Let me tell you a true story. There was a mother who was absolutely convinced her son was destined to be a piano virtuoso. Every single day, she'd stand over him, supervising his practice. The pressure on the boy was immense, and deep down, he was rebelling. But no matter what he said, his mother wouldn't listen. She just believed he was being childish, and that one day, when he was successful, he would understand and thank her. Then one morning, as she was trying to drag him to a piano competition, he refused to go. She began to scold him relentlessly. Suddenly, the boy held out his hand. There was a fresh, deep cut across his palm. He looked at her and said, "Look, Mom, my hand hurts. I guess I can't go to the competition now, can I?" A writer once said, "Helping someone is about thinking of them. Interfering in their life is about thinking of yourself." Psychology tells us that many people have a latent desire to lead others. It's a common human trait. So many people love to criticize, always assuming their own intellect and knowledge are superior. But from ancient times to now, the truly brilliant have always been the most humble and measured, while those who love to play the teacher are often just putting on a flashy, empty show. In your interactions with people, resist the urge to always be the teacher. As another author wisely noted, in most cases, you and your loved ones, your classmates, your friends, and your colleagues all share a similar foundation of knowledge and experience. You exist in the same social circles, which means the common truths and logic within that circle are generally understood by everyone. You don't need to explain everything. The need to always be the teacher is a symptom of arrogance, of self-satisfaction, and the lack of self-improvement. This kind of teaching isn't about imparting knowledge or solving problems. It's about the hollow vanity of talking down to others to feel respected. So, how do we truly master that delicate balance in how we treat people and live with intention? I hope these next two ideas can shed some light on that for you. First, before you ever offer someone advice, you have to validate them first. Seriously. If someone comes to you asking for your take on something, the last thing you should do is just tear their idea apart. So many people just jump at the chance to give their opinion, always feeling like their way is better. Honestly, that's just a massive sign of low emotional intelligence. You have to understand, people are asking for your perspective, not for you to put them down. Always remember this. No matter if what they did was right or wrong, always help them save face. Second, sometimes silence is the most powerful thing you can say. A wise philosopher once said, "When I am silent, I feel whole. The moment I open my mouth, I feel empty." Every single one of us has a completely different view of the world. We see things through our own unique lens, shaped by our own unique experiences. So, in many cases, what you might think is helpful advice could be taken completely the wrong way. In those moments, the best thing you can do is just be mindful and cautious. There's an old saying, "Among any three people, one can surely be my teacher." Learn to actively look for the strengths in the people around you and be open to learning from them. If you come across someone who is ready and willing to learn, and you happen to have relevant experience, then by all means, offer them some gentle guidance. But if you meet someone who is just not receptive, the best thing you can do is stay quiet and let life teach them through their own trials and experiences. Because when you try to teach someone, the way you do it matters. If you're not careful, you'll just come off as arrogant, like you think you're better than them. And if you don't even bother to understand what they truly need and just spout your own opinions, every word you say will be completely useless. Let's talk about anger. If you truly want to achieve anything great in this life, the first thing you have to learn is how to control your emotions. But man, that is so much easier said than done. It's heartbreaking, but it's true. You see so many people who look like they've been through it all, who seem so seasoned by life, but the second something pushes their buttons, they completely lose it. It can start with yelling and arguing, but it can escalate to something physical, something truly dangerous. When we get angry, it's like a wildfire of ignorance just burns through our minds, and the moment you let that anger take over, you've already lost the battle. A person who cannot master their emotions will never, ever master their life. They lose their reason, and they just sink deeper and deeper into despair. Let's break down the devastating consequences of anger and how we can start to live a more mindful, peaceful life. First, when you get angry, you invite chaos into your life. A person with a serious anger problem can literally put their own life at risk. Think of those classic stories of the great, unstoppable warrior who, upon hearing that his closest brother in arms had been tragically killed, couldn't control his grief and rage. He drowned his sorrows in alcohol, and in a drunken fury, he brutally beat his own soldiers. In the end, his own subordinates, unable to take any more of his abuse, waited until he was asleep and ended his life right there in his own bed. This man was a brilliant general, a force to be reckoned with, but his story didn't have the ending it should have. It just goes to show you, it doesn't matter how talented you are. If you can't control your temper, it's all for nothing. And in our own lives, we see people just like that warrior all the time. They're the ones who are constantly bringing this dark, negative energy into their relationships and their work. They're always overthinking things, blaming the world for their problems, even talking behind people's backs. There's that unforgettable line from The Godfather: "Never let anyone outside the family know what you're thinking." A person who is easily swayed, who wears every single emotion on their sleeve, is frankly seen as unsophisticated. They're easy for others to read, easy to manipulate, and they're just inviting disaster into their life. At the same time, constantly dumping your negative feelings on everyone else will slowly make people avoid you. They'll become afraid to even be around you. Over time, your circle of friends will shrink until there's no one left. You'll find yourself completely alone when you're facing hard times. And if you happen to cross paths with someone who has the same fiery temper, it's a recipe for conflict and drama that will poison both of your lives. And beyond all that, anger is absolutely devastating for your health. It's an age-old wisdom backed by modern science. All illnesses are born from anger. It doesn't just damage your liver and lungs, it's a serious threat to your cardiovascular health. So the moment a person starts to get angry, they've already set off a chain reaction of negative consequences in their own life. You could say that anger is truly the most destructive emotion in the world. So how do we actually diffuse that anger? I think most of us know logically that getting angry is a bad idea. But the second someone provokes us or we hit a snag, it feels almost impossible to control that surge of emotion. We lose all sense of reason. So what can we actually do about it? Here are a few powerful techniques you might want to try. Don't isolate yourself. When you're hurting, being alone is the most dangerous trap you can fall into. It just makes you sink deeper into the quicksand of your own negative thoughts. Psychologists have found that when we're under pressure, troubled, or just plain unhappy, talking to another person is one of the most powerful ways to release that inner turmoil. I'm sure every single one of us has felt this, right? That moment you finally confide in a friend about a problem, and you feel that immense weight lifting from your shoulders. So when anger is brewing, don't just sit and stew in it. Speak your truth. When someone helps you carry that burden, you're not just easing the pain. You're getting emotional support that can untangle the knots of stress inside you. Vent your frustrations, but do it constructively. There's a saying that goes something like, "A little fire can point you down the right path." We all feel anger. It's a part of being human. We can't completely avoid it, but we also can't just let it fester or cling to it. When things don't go our way, it's okay to feel a surge of emotion, but we have to be careful not to let it consume us. And because we often have to suppress that initial flare-up, it's crucial to find a healthy outlet to release that pent-up energy afterward. This is fundamental to maintaining our mental well-being. You hear about some companies, particularly in places like Japan, that even create venting rooms with models of bosses to help employees let off steam. The results are clear. People feel a significant sense of relief. Now, we don't need to go to that extreme. The point is to find your release valve. Maybe it's listening to music, hiking a mountain trail, going for a run, hitting the gym, or just redirecting your focus into your work, your studies, or a hobby you're passionate about. You have to learn to look in the mirror. Psychological surveys show that people with short fuses, the ones who seem to lose their temper often, usually share a common trait. They're often driven by pride. They struggle to listen and often dismiss the opinions and perspectives of others. So when you feel that anger rising, take a breath and ask yourself some hard questions first. What's the real cause of this? Is this my issue or is it theirs? What do I truly gain by winning this argument? What happens if they win? After a moment of honest self-reflection, you'll often realize the whole conflict is meaningless. Going for a tit-for-tat victory only leads to a situation where everyone loses, where there are no real winners. In life, we sometimes have to learn the strength in yielding, the wisdom in compromise. This isn't weakness. When it comes to petty issues, only a fool digs in their heels and fights to the bitter end. Even if you win the argument, what have you gained besides wasted time? A person of wisdom remains calm, saving their energy for their real goals, their grand ambitions. Long after they've succeeded, they can look back and see that the real victory was never in the argument at all. There's a powerful old saying: building a wall on a wall leads to ruin and heartbreak. This isn't a lesson in construction. It's a profound metaphor reminding us to understand our limits, to know when to stop. It warns us that pushing things too far, to the point of too much of a good thing, will always backfire with devastating results. Once you understand the 3 harms of building a wall on a wall, you'll discover the secrets to a much more peaceful life. First, it shatters the bonds of love. There's a story of an old carpenter who raised 2 sons. But now, in his old age, neither son wanted the burden of caring for him. After much persuasion from friends and family, the sons reluctantly agreed to take turns. But when a month had 31 days, a squabble broke out. Both sons argued that the extra day was an unfair burden, that it wasn't their responsibility. And so, the old carpenter found himself sitting on the boundary line between his son's 2 homes, caught in the middle and left to face the world alone. In rural areas, it's common for siblings to have land right next to each other. But instead of unity, there's often suspicion, a constant fear that the other is trying to cheat them or take what's theirs. When brothers fight, they simply build a high wall right down the middle, severing their connection without a second thought. As we grow up, we face the challenges of caring for our parents and our siblings. The truth is, not all siblings are destined to be close friends. Family is like the fingers on a hand. They're never all the same length. Some distance is natural, but we should never use that as an excuse to keep building the walls higher. There's a corrosive desire that can take root in the human heart, one that whispers, "It's never enough." Like a snake trying to swallow an elephant, this insatiable greed inevitably leads to ruin. There's an old story about a man from a small coastal town, a man who was as brilliant at swimming as he was at making money. One day, he was on a boat that capsized in a storm. While many others swam for their lives and reached the shore, this man, clinging desperately to a bag heavy with his fortune, began to sink. People on the shore screamed, "Let go of the money! Let it go!" But he couldn't. The weight of his own greed pulled him under the waves, and he was never seen again. In economics, there's a concept called the harvest paradox. Simply put, it means that sometimes after a great harvest, farmers actually earn less money because the sheer abundance drives prices down. If you don't understand the balance of supply and demand, a good thing can turn sour. It's the same in our lives. If we accumulate a certain amount of wealth but can't control our desire for more, our lives will never feel happy. It's like trying to swim across a river while chained to a treasure chest. Even with all the strength in the world, you'll never make it to the other side. A good life is a life of contentment. It's wonderful to strive for more, to push forward, but we must also learn to be grateful for what we have, right now, today. When your mind and spirit are at ease, your body will be healthy. And with your health, you have everything. This insatiable hunger doesn't just apply to wealth, it can poison our social lives too. When we're young, we often feel the need to run in a pack, to be part of a large group for support and opportunity. But if, years later, you're still relentlessly trying to expand that circle, you risk losing sight of who you truly are. In the worst-case scenario, you might even attract the wrong kind of people, those who smile to your face while plotting to take advantage of you. The bigger the social circle, the more drama, the more scheming, the more arguments, and the more wasted time. Having 3 or 5 close friends, a loving partner, and the family, that is more than enough. Quality will always trump quantity. There's a powerful saying, when a wall is torn down, a road appears. We fight so hard out in the world, often just for the chance at a peaceful life. By understanding the harm in building unnecessary walls around ourselves, walls of greed, walls of superficial relationships, we can hopefully find the strength to stand firm against our own desires. The great philosopher Wang Yangming put it perfectly. It is easy to defeat the bandits in the mountains, but it is difficult to defeat the bandits in your own heart. In the end, the most important work is tearing down the walls we've built within ourselves. This brings me to some fascinating ancient wisdom, a saying that goes, "Don't comb your hair at night and don't tell your dreams in the morning." At first, it sounds like pure superstition, but when you dig deeper, it's incredibly logical. So why shouldn't you comb your hair at night? To understand this, we have to travel back in time, thousands of years ago. Life was hard, and if you wanted to see at night, you had to light a lamp. For working-class families, burning precious oil just to comb your hair was an incredible luxury. To save money, this saying became a practical reminder. A man who lit a lamp at night for vanity was seen as wasteful. A woman was seen as a poor household manager. But there was another layer to it. Even back then, people cared deeply about their appearance, especially before going out. So the thinking went, if someone is meticulously combing their hair late at night, they must be preparing to go out and meet someone. In that context, for both men and women, it raised suspicions of infidelity and secret affairs, which could damage a family's reputation. Beyond those reasons, the ancients believed that combing your hair at night invited misfortune. Now, this isn't just superstition, it's rooted in psychology. The oil lamps they used cast a weak, flickering light, easily disturbed by a passing breeze. Imagine staring into an old, blurry mirror under those conditions. With the shadows dancing, your own reflection could look distorted, strange, even terrifying. It was easy to get spooked. Modern science tells us that certain activities before bed can disrupt our sleep, and feeling anxious or frightened is a sure way to trigger nightmares. You can see the connection. If you get scared by a ghostly figure in the mirror that turns out to be your own reflection, you're not going to have a peaceful night's sleep. Over time, this experience led to the belief that combing your hair at night causes nightmares. So, you see, it wasn't about magic, it was a very real combination of natural phenomena and human psychology. Today, with our bright electric lights and clear mirrors, combing our hair at night is no big deal. As for the second part of the saying, it touches on how our ancestors viewed the world. In an age before science could explain so much, people believed dreams were messages, guidance from a higher power, glimpses into the future. Even emperors and kings took their dreams incredibly seriously. For the ancients, a dream was never just a dream, it was a prophecy. But then why did the ancients hold the belief that you shouldn't speak of your dreams in the morning? Does this contradict the ideas we've explored? Not at all. The truth is, the morning is the launch pad for your entire day. To have a productive, effective day, it's absolutely essential that your body and mind are filled with positive energy right after you wake up. If a person gets too lost in trying to interpret their dreams, it can easily backfire. Positive dreams might give you a temporary burst of excitement, that's true, but negative dreams can cast a long shadow over your entire psychological state. This emotional roller coaster is a major obstacle to your personal growth and well-being. In a more serious case, it can even trigger a butterfly effect, where a small feeling from a dream ripples outward, affecting your entire day. From a scientific perspective, dreaming is a process of the subconscious mind, not a prophecy from the heavens. In reality, most people can't even clearly describe the details of what they dreamed about. To spend precious mental energy overthinking something that isn't even real is not only useless, but it actively harms the quality of your waking life. Ultimately, the lesson in this old saying is a powerful reminder. Don't give your dreams too much attention, and certainly don't let them fill you with anxiety. This is what will truly benefit you. Instead, you must channel your energy into taking action on your real-world plans. A beautiful future can't be realized if you don't take the steps to build it. If this journey through ancient wisdom and modern understanding has been valuable to you, please show your support by hitting the like button. Make sure to subscribe to Evolve Every Day and ring the notification bell so you never miss a chance to grow with us. If you know someone who could use this message, please share this video with them. We would love to hear your perspective. What's the biggest takeaway for you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for being here, and until next time, keep evolving.